No, don't put it on.
All right, we're just letting everybody into the room. Thank you for coming and being on time, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Everybody's loading in.
That number spiked up.
There were about 100, I think it was 150 that registered today. So this Zoom can only accommodate 100, so we're also live on Facebook. So we are recording.
You guys play The Price is Right, or you guys know The Price is Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so let's play The Price is Right for the number of attendees and see. So by 12:10.
Closest without going over.
Yeah, closest without going over. So my number is, I'm doing 74.
Wait, by when?
How many people are
But only
gonna,
100 can come in this way.
Wait, what's the time?
how many people are gonna log in live, he's saying?
Oh, live. Oh, okay. If it's 100. All right. Listen, I'll go 61.
But how many people did
It's
you say
100
signed
on
up?
this. 100.
130 signed up, right?
130 coming in. Okay. Well, we can get started as the room is filling.
Cool, 100.
Morris,
And
what you guys got?
Let's go 83.
84.
That's how you play, right? One.
all right.
$1.
No, we're not counting Facebook Live.
Oh, you're not counting Facebook
No,
Live?
no, Facebook Live don't count.
Yeah, so it has to be under 100.
Casey, what's your number?
87.
All right.
All right, guys, let's get started. First of all, I just want to welcome everybody. Just quick, I can just go to the chat. Can everybody hear and see us okay? Yes, all right, cool. Thank you so much. I'm Beth Waterfall. I'm the executive director and one of the co-founders of Elevate Northeast. Thank you everybody for joining us on this another hot July day. We're kind of in another heat wave, and next week's gonna be super hot too. But it's also a really exciting time and really appropriate time to be talking about delivery in Massachusetts, cannabis delivery, the licensing, some of the roadblocks, some of the people that are facing, and really just a look at what the opportunities really are. So thank you all for being here. And part of it being particularly timely, as I'm sure Morris, our moderator, and some of our panelists will explain, the CCC has an open commentary period right now. So we can be sending them information. You can go to the CCC's website to see the different ways to do that, but telling them, hey, you know, I agree with wholesale, or maybe there's a requirement that you'd like to see changed with the number of drivers in a car. You'll learn all sorts of different stuff today. And then we really encourage you to speak up, because how cool is it that you have an opportunity to really shape an industry, whether you want to be a delivery licensee or you want to be somebody that is able to get unencumbered delivery to your home. You know, there's perspectives on all sides of this situation that the CCC wants to hear about. So thank you for coming. Thank you for paying attention. And thank you for supporting our awesome speakers that we have today. I just want to make sure I'm sharing my screen. Hold on, there we go. All right.
Slides.
All right. Give you the appropriate view here. Okay, so just moving along. We're having a little issue going live on Facebook right now. Getting some notes that it's not working. I apologize for that. But we are going to proceed. This is going to be recorded, so I can post the recording. So I apologize if anybody was trying to get on Facebook right now. We will absolutely make the recording available to everybody who registered as well. So before we get into delivery, I just want to make a quick heads up about our next event next month. This is part of our summer education series. These are all free for everybody to attend. We've put together these programs to help your businesses survive and thrive this crazy time we're all facing. And marketing is it's a big expense for a lot of businesses, of course, but it's also, given the timing right now, maybe there are some changes that businesses will want to make, even on the smallest scale of marketing efforts. So we have a pretty exciting panel coming together next month. I'll be on it as well, but we have Holly Alberti. She's a local consultant and founder of Healthy Heady Lifestyle. So also worked out at Harborside in California. Lisa Buffo, she's the president of the Cannabis Marketing Association, so she's going to have some interesting perspective. Deshita Dawson, she's the weed head. She's a brilliant consultant, and she's really got her hands on all sorts of different things in cannabis. Jorge Indemeza, he's the managing partner of Growth Legion out in California, and then me. So I hope you'll join us on the 20th. There's definitely something for everybody who's trying to run a business to learn in that marketing realm. So. But one more thing before we get into delivery, it's also a really important time for all of us to speak up and vote. I'm sure you're watching the news and seeing all sorts of different things. Your local elections are particularly important. So if you haven't received one of these little guys, as you're seeing on the screen in your mailbox, it might be because you're not registered. So please go register at vote.gov and learn more about your candidates too. I know not everybody here is from Massachusetts. But it's really important to speak up, particularly in your local elections. All right, so here we go. Let's get into it. Massachusetts cannabis delivery, licensing, roadblocks, and public comments. This is just a quick little rundown of today's topics. We're going to go through kind of the qualifications of who can actually be involved in delivery right now, different things to think about for the application, the opportunity for diversity, which ties into who can actually participate right now. Some of the barriers to entry, security, outfitting a secure vehicle, compliance and inspections, and then financing. How do we bring this all together for these businesses? And then before we get started, over the weekend, this coming weekend, Minorities for Medical Marijuana, they're an organization that Elevate partners with a lot and certainly loves to support. Jarrell Black from the Massachusetts chapter of Minorities for Medical Marijuana, he's donated 2 passes, and we did this, there's this little tool online where you can do random raffles, and so we've picked 2 passes for Montreal B and Akini O. So I'm going to shoot an email and all the instructions on how to get signed up for this weekend to Montreal and Akini O. And then for today, I just want to do a quick introduction of our speakers.
No, I'm not.
Just a quick introduction of our speakers, and then we'll get into it. Mars Parti is your moderator, and he's going to lead the conversation. But we also have Christopher Fevry from Your Green Package, and he's also the president of the Massachusetts Cannabis Delivery, the Massachusetts Cannabis Delivery Association. Aaron Goins and Janelle Goins, they're the co-founders of the Emerald Turtle. And Nikki John, is the founder of the Heritage Club. Casey Lever is compliance manager at Vicente Cedarburg LLP. And Mars Parti, our moderator, is the president of Emerald River. So I'm going to ask all of our speakers to just do a quick little introduction of themselves, and then ask Christopher to tell us a little bit more about the Massachusetts Cannabis Association for Delivery. All right, so why don't we start with Chris? Go ahead.
Sure. So Chris, co-founder of Your Green Package, also the president of the Massachusetts Cannabis Association for Delivery. So we're an aspiring cannabis delivery company based here in Massachusetts. So far, we've gotten our pre-certification, but been in conversations with a lot of different dispensaries and people in the space that kind of brought me here today. Beth, should I talk about the association, or should?
Why don't we come back for you on that one, Chris?
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty much me.
All right, thanks, Chris. Aaron, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, Aaron, you're on mute.
Okay. Yes, I'm Aaron Goins. I am CEO and co-founder of the Emerald Turtle. We will be a fully vertically integrated cannabis establishment based out of Wareham. We plan on being delivery, also cultivation, manufacturing, production, and we are very happy to be here.
Yes. I am also co-founder, COO of the Emerald Turtle. My background is in finance and accounting, and we're happy to be here because honestly, we need some changes in this delivery space because right now it's not a viable business. So let's get to it.
Awesome. Nikki, tell us about yourself and Heritage Club.
Awesome, thank you. Yep. Hi, I'm Nikki John, and my business partner Maggie Supri and I will be applying for a retail and delivery license in Charlestown, Massachusetts, so in Boston. And I'm from Boston, went to Northeastern, and I work in real estate. Recently got involved with the social equity program last year, graduated in the first cohort there, and I joined the Lantern Delivery Accelerator with Chris, which he'll probably mention again later. And yeah, now we're applying for these licenses, and we'll talk about that later. Thanks.
Awesome. Hey, Casey, tell us a little bit about yourself and your work at Vicente Cedarburg.
Hi, I'm Casey. I'm a compliance manager at Vicente Cedarburg. I work with licensees from the application process all the way through to final licensure and then remaining compliant as they're operational. All different license types, retailer, product manufacturer, cultivation and delivery now as well. I work with current retailers on their home delivery process, and so I can really kind of speak to the inspections. I've been to probably far over a dozen now with the commission. So that's the kind of guidance that I usually provide our clients as well, just to help you open your doors, or in this case, get on the road.
Thanks, Casey. And last but not least, Morris Party, tell us about Emerald River.
Sure. Well, Emerald River is in the process of opening retail stores both here in the Commonwealth, and we're also very excited to be exploring opening a retail store in Maine as well. So it's been a very exciting, shall we say, adventure to try and figure out how to do that. And then, of course, in addition, we are looking at this delivery model. So from that point, so I'm very excited about what Emerald River is going to do in this, but I'm equally, if not more excited for the incredible rock stars here on the panel, as well as each one of you attendees. The main, if I can give one message for all of the attendees here, is you are in the right place at the right time. This is an incredible change happening in the industry. Beth, whether the timing of this webinar was intentional or accidental or somewhere in between, it could not be more perfect because of that public comment period. Part of this industry, but right now, this minute, okay, 2 days ago, the CCC opened up public comment on the new regulations. So I'm sure we will talk extensively about what you can do to not only become a part of this industry, and again, this is just a incredible time to make that kind of an inroad. If this is what you've been interested in trying to do, that now's the time to not only get in, but to make your voice heard. And we will talk extensively about the very important ways that you can make your voice heard. So with that introduction, I would like to kick it over to Nikki to talk about who can join in.
Morris, let me just cut you off for just one quick second. I just want to give Chris the chance to tell folks about the association. Chris, you want to go ahead and tell us about the association quickly?
Yeah, sure. So as you guys already know, we just formed an association called MCAD, or Massachusetts Cannabis Association for Delivery. The real reason why kind of the association was formed was we kind of noticed that there was a lack of, I would say, understanding among social equity applicants. There was a lack of unity. There wasn't really a voice. And, the CDA has their voice. Other organizations have, other people have organizations to represent them. And so we decided that would be a good idea to form an organization for delivery to really promote kind of the regulations that are going to help delivery companies. And also to educate our members as well through events like, hey, where can I get banking services? Or, hey, how can I, apply for my pre-certification? How can I, choose the right logistics platform? So that's really what we're offering. So, to sign up to become a member, you go to masscda.org, which, and I just dropped the link in the chat. And then if you want to be kept up to date on events, follow that link, fill out a membership. And we should be having some events in the coming weeks and months.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, back to Morris.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for that, Chris. And in addition to MCAD, we will also drop in a link for a Facebook group specifically to discuss delivery, the issues, how to get involved. So I've just dropped in that Facebook group. Please join. And that's so both sign up on Chris's MCAD site as well as join that Facebook group, and we will be sure to keep that word going about how you can get involved and what the issues are. So from there, Nikki, please give us a rundown on the background of who is eligible to become a part of this and the whole history behind where we have arrived at.
Yeah. All right. So to start, the economic empowerment and social equity application types are something the CCC created to make sure that there was both diversity and equity in the Massachusetts cannabis space. And the economic empowerment window that opened a few years back, it was a brief window, and they realized not enough people were able to sign up and participate in that license type. So I think there's about 90 people who ended up qualifying, but they opened up social equity, which is similar. And the qualifications for both are based on income, any past, if you're from an area of disproportionate impact, which is defined by the census, you can go in on the CCC's website and look up the addresses that you've lived at for 5 of the past 10 years to see if those will qualify. And the other thing is if you've been affected by different violations for marijuana, they have a rubric, so I don't want to say exactly what they are, but you can check and see, or if someone in your family has and you've lived in Massachusetts for the past year, you can qualify for social equity. And then what you do is they have a course. The social equity program provides you a lot of different resources and education on how the industry works. It's very nuanced, it's new, and a lot of things are changing. So getting that education on the front end without having, there's no courses. Nobody studied this in college quite yet. That's just starting to happen now. So it's a really good resource in that way. And like the reason they created this program was to address what's been going on with the war on drugs, which has affected mostly people of color and poor people. So they've been trying to help make this more of a social justice movement than just a new industry like tech was. And if we can come in and create diversity in the space from the get-go, that's gonna create lasting changes down the line. So that's why it's very important.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Nikki. From there, let's go to Chris, and if you can talk about the security concerns as well as how you would go about fitting out a vehicle to make it compliant with what these regulations are.
Yeah, so I think there's definitely a lot of security concerns when it comes to just cannabis in general. So the CCC has been pretty straightforward in their guidelines onto what is required in a vehicle. So first off, you have a vehicle. What they would like to see is that, there's a secure cash box inside, cash box, and also a secure area for the product. Also, they require security cameras on each of the drivers, body cameras on each of the drivers, and security cameras in the front, in kind of the driver area, and also on the product. So one easy way to kind of get through kind of these, when thinking about how to actually implement all that in a vehicle, kind of the go-to for me is kind of a Ford Transit Connect, which is a transportation van. And what I would do is I just dropped a link to chat. There's a company out in California that developed something called the CannaCage, and it's basically kind of literally a self-installation kit that's built to help you meet the regulations. So it comes with body cams, it comes with the GPS monitoring, it comes with kind of all those pieces. And then I think it's at a cost of about $5,000 to $7,000. And then what you would need to do is you could either install it yourself, or you can find kind of a local mechanic to actually complete the work for you. So, that's kind of our plan when it comes to that security implementation. And then, you can kind of pick and choose, like, okay, I don't want the GPS from this company. I might want to do a separate service, but they really provide the base and the core, which kind of gets your mind off of kind of the complexity of what that security requirement may be. So.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. And then Casey, so building on what Chris just talked about in terms of the equipment that would go into the vehicle, you said you have some tremendous experience with an actual inspection from the CCC. So I think it'd be fantastic to let everyone know, what is that like, and what do you got to watch out for?
Yeah, so when they do vehicle inspections, of course, they're going to come out, and just like when you rent a car, they're going to walk around and look at, physically what the vehicle looks like. You're going to want to document, of course, what your vehicle looks like at the time of the inspection as well. They're going to go through all the requirements. So like your alarm system, for example, your vehicle is supposed to have an alarm. They may ask you to arm the vehicle and open the door to see if the alarm goes off. Where it comes to your cameras, very important is one of the requirements are that you are able to produce a still or live video from those cameras. But during the inspection, they may ask you to go ahead and print a still from one of those cameras so they can see, in fact, that you can do that, right? You're evidencing your compliance. Same thing goes with, the locked storage compartment. You're going to want to evidence that it's locked. So if it's supposed to have a lock on it, it should, and it should be a commercial grade lock. So they're really just looking for, you to understand what the compliance requirements are, and that they need to visually see that you've in fact done those things. It really is, you can't enter an inspection where you're going to say, oh, well, we're going to do that. We just haven't installed that yet. They really expect you to be prepared when you request the inspection, that this thing is fully ready. You're ready to get marijuana in that vehicle tomorrow. It is very important you think about it like that, and you've really thought of how this is actually going to play out, almost like a role play. You want to test your GPS, test that you can monitor it. Anything that you're required to do, you want to be able to evidence at the time of that inspection, and expect that they could ask you to do so.
Fantastic. And building on that, here's another question I have. I hope my connection is not too fuzzy. So obviously delivery has not happened yet, but we expect that sometime this fall, in the next few months anyway, we'll probably see the first delivery operators get underway. And whether it's 3-6 months from now, who knows? But one of the things I'm aware of peripherally that the commission does is surprise inspections. So I know we obviously haven't had that in delivery, but have you had experience with those secret shopper inspections that the retailers have had to endure?
So I haven't had experience directly with a secret shopper per se, but I do know that the commission will go out and do random inspections, as they should really, because when you're an operator, you prepare for inspection, you prep your staff, you prep your facility, but the dust settles. Everyone, you're expected to comply from the minute you're licensed to every single day. So I have that experience where, they're unannounced inspections, and you need to be operating compliant like it's the day, you had the inspection. Of course, there's humans involved now, so training is very important, documenting all of your training, making sure you've gone through your SOPs, and that everyone who's an agent handling marijuana is well aware of the regulations and the compliance requirements for their job. And that will just make that so much easier. In the event there is a random inspection, your agents are the first line. They can ask them any questions. You want to make sure they're comfortable answering them and they know what the compliant answers are.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for that. And I just typed into the chat box because this is an industry kind of term. The SOP means standard operating procedures. Very, very important in this industry. I wasn't familiar with that term until I got involved. Everybody talks about how proud they are of their SOPs, and a lot of work goes into them, and they get specific for the particular company. So that's great, and I appreciate that. I think it's just so important to make sure everyone listening who's thinking about getting into this industry knows it's not like they give you that license and then you can do whatever you want. This is the way I've heard it, I think, which might sum it up best, if you agree, is we're actually in a compliance industry that happens to sell cannabis.
Exactly. Absolutely. I agree with that.
Neat, neat. All right, so moving on from there, I know that such a huge aspect of what so many people who have been looking at this license are interested in is, do the regulations as they're currently drafted make sense to get into as a business?
Did he just freeze for everyone else?
I think he froze.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just keep this going then.
Thank you, Aaron. Morris is frozen for me too. Go ahead.
I'm gonna make an assumption that I have an idea where he's going with this, and he wants to talk about the financial aspect of delivery. Listen, my wife has been accounting for, I don't want to give your age away, but a long time. I spent over a decade on Wall Street, specifically starting out in equity research. So I spent a lot of time just crunching numbers. This is what we do. We flip this model inside out, upside down, all the way around and downtown again. It doesn't work on any type of level. I don't care if your specific model may be a delivery fee model, which in my opinion, if you have a delivery fee, you have the law of diminishing returns that will come into effect. The higher your fee, the lower your addressable market is going to be, especially when you have the highest wholesale market in the country. So you have eighths that are going for $60 an eighth. They want you to throw 20% taxes on that. So now you're at $72. So how much room and how much forgiveness is a customer willing to take an additional $10 delivery fee, a $20 delivery fee? Even with that aspect, let's say if you are in fact charging a $20 delivery fee, that essentially means that you're going to have to do an insane amount of volume just to be able to get ahead of your cash burn. And the way that we end up looking at that particular model, you'll be out of business in 3 to 6 months. It's not an if, you will be out of business, because it will not happen. Even if you take that all the way up to $50 a delivery fee. A lot of it has to do with the logistics of Massachusetts. One can expect, depending upon the distance between each delivery spot, at a maximum of 2 deliveries per hour. You can do the math from 1,000-foot level. It makes it very difficult.
Unless you're in like Boston, where you can do quite a few very close together.
But that's theoretical too.
You would have to have all your business really clustered. So by the time you get big enough to have your business clustered in this way, will you even last? You know, we were looking at, okay, a lot of people are talking about you can get a commission from the retailer and you can also charge a delivery fee. Well, you would have to do both in order for it to be viable. And both of those things would have to be relatively high, because like, it depends. Let's say we're taking $100. Let's say your average order is $100. You can even say your average order is $200. If you are getting 20% from the retailer. And we have to think about this. Right now, as the delivery rules are set up, we have a moratorium as SEPs for 2 years. We cannot purchase inventory wholesale. We have to purchase it from the retailer, most likely at retail or whatever discount they want to give you. But they know that in 2 years, they can get in this and do this themselves. So as you're doing the numbers and you're seeing just how much it costs to do this, why would a retailer in 2 years keep you? There's really not a lot of incentive to not just do this by yourself, to do this for yourself. So that's one reason that we're pushing for wholesale, because we think we're very expendable this way. The next reason we're pushing for wholesale is because how much can a retailer give? Can a retailer give 30%? Okay, and if they do give 30%, you still, to make it work, have to charge a delivery fee. How much of Massachusetts is really actually willing to pay another $20 on each of these already what they think are very expensive orders? Another killer for delivery. Then you take the fact that the towns aren't open to us. So if your town does not have a retailer, or it would not allow marijuana businesses in that town, we can't deliver there. So that's another obstacle that is in our way. Okay. And it just keeps, when we were doing the numbers, all of these things just kept collapsing on each other to the point where it's like, this is not something that it makes sense to get into. I don't know that you would get investors because there's not enough meat on the bone for investors to be interested in you. So you're going to put your life savings into doing this, which we've seen a lot of people say that they're going to do. And what is going to happen? Because in 2 years, I don't know that you're going to be kept. And are you even going to last it 2 years? Like my husband was saying, like Aaron was saying, are you even going to last that in the cash burn? You have to think, we have 2 drivers in the car. If you pay those drivers $15 an hour and maybe you'll pay them less, that's $30 right there without benefits, without the taxes you have to pay. So, okay, now we're going to add insurance, the fact that your bank accounts cost an exorbitant amount of money. There's everything. We have almost every expense the retailer has, and you can say we don't have people tending a store, okay? But we have 1 million drivers. We have 2 drivers per car. So we have that too. The only expense we don't have is the expense we need, which is inventory. It's not really making the playing field equal. It's also not making it much lower entry. So I'm not sure what not giving us wholesale actually is doing for delivery. It's not helping. So since it's not helping, we are petitioning to have wholesale so that this is a real business. Does it get more expensive to have? Yes, it gets a bit more expensive to have because now we have to have inventory. But do you rather be cheaper and there's no business there? So that's what we're really pushing for. And then is the next step to try to say that, okay, we need to help SEPs get funding in order to be able to start these businesses. Yes, that is. But getting wholesale and making delivery a real business, just like every other license type, is imperative. How can you say that this is the license that you're giving as equity, but it's not a business? Why are we all relegated to be Uber Eats? So that's our equity. It's not a business. I'm sorry. We need wholesale.
I also want to chime in a little bit too. Over the past few months, I've had an insane amount of SCs call me, EEs as well, only because of my background and my past history of being able to essentially raise funding, which we're doing for our own business as well. So funding has never really been our particular issue in entering this. It has to be the regulatory part of it. As I started going on deeper and deeper in this, and SCs are calling me and they're asking, hey, Aaron, is there any way you can help me raise funds for the business? And I always ask them the first question, how much are you looking, to raise? I think I could get this off the ground for 100 grand. I said, there is no license in the world you're gonna get off the ground for 100 grand. So right then and there, that's telling me that you don't have a full understanding of what it's actually gonna take for the startup costs for this. Additionally, I will ask them, I say, hey, listen, how much are you trying to give away equity-wise when you get in exchange? And I can never get a firm answer. And so me and my wife, we saw a glaring red alarm approach now. And it almost was like a call to action. I almost felt like morally obligated at this point to say, do not enter this license. I repeat, do not, you will be bankrupt. Within 6 months, I would take the under on it because of it. And in a lot of cases, I have spoken to SCs and their models are nowhere close to extensive what Janelle and I have come up with in terms of the expenses and the expenses that you don't even know, that I'm sure we're probably forgetting ourselves. And it's just an upside down model. And I beg people, because many of them are really going to put in their personal net worth into this. You're going to lose it. And that's not me bursting anybody's bubble. That's just the way it is. So we must get wholesale. Additionally, and this is very key, we need an extension of the exclusivity period. It needs to be 3 years at a minimum. In reality, it should be probably 5. But I'm going to be very realistic here. I believe the CCC has a real appetite for extending this to 3 years with an option to extend it an additional year. So 3 plus 1. And the reason why I've been pushing this so hard is across any industry, I don't care what industry it is, most businesses are lucky to break even within their 3rd year. With the current regulations right now of 2-year exclusivity with the option to go to a 3rd year, they're actually going to start looking at the viability of the SCP program and the businesses that encompass it by the 16th month. That right there, you're not giving enough time for the CCC to even effectively be able to figure out what is viable, what is not. So at a very, very minimum, we have to push for 3 years at a minimum with an option to extend to a 4th year. This is very, very critical. And I want everybody to definitely write in, call them, harass them, email, send a Peregrine Falcon if you have to. But this has to get out. This word has to get out. And these aren't demands. This is just requirements in order for social equity to have the same opportunity to create generational wealth for themselves and their families, just like every other license in this state has the same opportunity.
And I would want to add really quickly for those who are thinking, okay, if you can have a delivery fee, you can get what you need from the retailers right now. Okay, my challenge to that is, if everyone comes out of the gate with a delivery fee, how long do you think before all this is a delivery fee war? And can you afford a delivery fee war? And then what if the retailers then put pressure on you? Because you're at the mercy of the retailers. So if the retailers then put pressure on you, they can get you out of business like this and take over immediately, right? In 2 years. So we cannot be tied to the hip of retail like that. And if you're saying that there's only a 2-year exclusivity period, where I do know the commission is willing to extend that if it's not doing what it's supposed to do. But regardless, it's going to end at some point, and they will take over at that point. So where will you stand? You know, there's not a business there. There's always going to be economic forces that you're going to have to tend to in a business. This one is already set up with those economic forces you can see so clearly. So what about the ones we can't see? That's where we're like, this is not viable. There's not enough room for the things you can't see. And there's barely enough room for the things we can. So stop.
Drop the mic.
Thank you both for keeping it so real. I, for one, and I'm sure everybody on this webinar appreciates you're keeping it real, telling it absolutely like it is. That is so awesome. I'm so glad everyone here is getting to hear this. And who knows, maybe the commissioners will watch it on replay as well. But you know, a lot of us here have been talking to the commission, and this is exactly why we're talking to the commission. And the thing which I'd like to, I'll just add really quickly, is the really important thing to get this changed the way from an economic model that will not work and will lose money and is set up to fail to, okay, now this is a business that we can sink our teeth into, that we actually want to join. We have to understand, what are the commissioners' concerns? What are they thinking of? What are their points of like, well, it's a problem for public safety, or that's potentially a problem for public health. So that's where we're working to understand, and it, you know, with Chris's group, with the Facebook group for delivery, and a lot of us here, we're working to understand the commissioners' concerns. How do we address them? How do we show them, okay, if we change the model like this, we can keep it safe, etc. So we're really excited to keep talking to the commissioners, listen to them, understand them, and address their concerns. So the main thing I want to point out, and Chris had posted it in here, I'll post it in again, is the petition that we have started. We already have, it's amazing, 220 signatures. This is incredible. And we'll probably change or modify this petition based on listening to the commissioners next week. And the other thing which I want to make sure everybody here knows about is that the week of August 3rd, or maybe it is August 3rd, there will be public testimony where you get to talk straight to the commissioners, tell them your story, why you want to see these changes, and that is powerful. They really do listen. So from there, I think maybe this is a perfect time to head into the question. I see questions flying by in the chat. I haven't been able to read them all, but Beth, if you want to kick off a Q&A period. If we've
Sure.
covered all the bases.
Taking note of a few questions coming in, and certainly sparked some of my curiosities as well. And this first one I'm going to lead off because I do marketing, and this question really rang with me. What about the ancillary businesses in delivery? What are the opportunities there, and how can they support the licensees so that they could eventually work together? Any thoughts on ancillary? Nikki, Casey, Chris?
I can add something on that. We have talked about in the Lantern Accelerator, Chris and I, about fleet management. So there are a lot of companies that do fleet management for taxi cab companies, for rental car companies, but nobody's really touching the cannabis space, and that's a huge opportunity. So if someone's out there thinking about that, reach out to us because we'll need those services. But that's just one example. There's tech things, GPS, surveillance, that kind of stuff. I don't know if anyone has other things to add.
Yeah.
Retrofitting the cars, maybe?
I mean, I'm for the question, are they talking about ancillary businesses or ancillary products that can be sold via delivery?
Businesses. They were asking specifically about like security and trucks and kind of how everybody would work together. Yeah.
I think Nikki hit it right on the head. There is going to be a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of tentacles that can go in a lot of different directions, and you don't necessarily have to even touch the product in order to create a successful business in this space. I think that you have to have the entrepreneurial spirit. You have to be very realistic that, listen, this is marijuana, and I get it that there is this perception that, oh, all I have to do is get a retail, throw a pile of marijuana in the middle of the floor, and people will just come in and pay me for it. It doesn't work like that anymore, and I want SCs, EEs, and everybody who's actually want to get into this space, they understand that we're not at the beginning of this anymore. This is not 2, 3, 4 years ago when you had investors coming in paying multiples off of your top line or revenue. We're not at that point anymore because they lost money. So now they're looking at the EBITDA line. So they want to see people with actually clear, concise vision plans, people who can adapt. So whatever type of business you're in, or you're thinking about getting into this space, understand that whatever you put in your business plan, and we've been through this before with other businesses that we started, it won't go according to business plan because that's just the nature of business. It doesn't care who you are. So you have to be able to adapt. You have to be creative. You have to have the entrepreneurial spirit, and you can't give up because it's going to keep hitting you in the face. And eventually you will hit that wall at that point where you have to make a decision, and you keep on pushing forward, and you will get there. Trust me, this has been a process and a half. And we've finally, the past, quarter or so, locked up a property. But this has been a long time, and this is going to take a commitment. So take that into consideration when you go into this space, that this is not the wild, wild west anymore. You have to be able to operate a business.
And I just wanted to say something about everyone a lot of people have been working towards making delivery viable. And I think telling the commission the things that we need, this is not the first time we've heard it. We've listened to the other public meetings. We know that this is not the first time that we've told them. But my point is that although it has taken this long, if we can get the change now, it's still what we need. So yes, it may have taken too long. Maybe it brought us in later in the game. It is what it is, but right now, the way delivery is, it's not giving us anything. So if we have wholesale, that is something. Whether it's late for some or not, it's something. And that's what I think we need to push for and band together for.
Thanks, Jill and Aaron. Casey, I think you were starting to say something about ancillary. Just wrap that up, Casey.
Yeah, along the same lines, the GPS sort of technology companies are definitely something that, you can get involved with. I think, with the body cams, storage of different footage, different security components, there's definitely a lot of opportunity for other ancillary businesses to get involved.
Thank you, Casey. And this one I'm going to direct to Chris as the president of the association here. We have a question relating to licensing for other types of businesses. So Chris, is a delivery license required for transportation between manufacturers and retailers?
So a delivery license can do medical and rec. You need to apply for a separate license to do wholesale transportation.
Thank you, sir.
Learned that from Casey, actually.
Thanks, Casey. All right, so moving along a little bit, we did talk a little bit about, I mean, Aaron definitely talked about this, and sounds like somebody had asked, would the moratorium be extended after the model's adjusted, after this commentary period, after the CCC listens to all of our feedback and things change? Do you guys think that specifically could impact an extension of this moratorium?
Okay, we causation and effect. This all has to happen right now.
Yeah.
So we don't need wholesale and then consider extension of the exclusivity period. You need both. Right now, at this moment, do not allow for new commissioners to come in that we're just not sure of where their positions are. At least we have history with the current commissioner body that we have right now. So we can have a good idea of where they fall on this. And I will speak because we have spoken personally to a number of the commissioners. It is our belief that there is I want to word this correctly, I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth, but it's our belief in our analysis that there is a strong appetite for an extension of the exclusivity period to 3 years with an option to additional year, based on the facts that my wife and I had discussed with the commissioners, that 2 years, you're not going to be able to evaluate whether or not this is successful or not. It's just not possible. So it has to be logically 3 years.
But it's also because if you are waiting for it to also start a fund, you're going to need to give people some time to get in with that. It's all going to end too soon before, so that you're going to have a fund come out after the moratorium is, or if maybe the fund won't come out then, but you actually getting access and having money in hand, how long is that going to take? So that's another reason that you need some more time on this moratorium.
But attack this now, right? Send everything, email, whatever you have to do. Those are the two issues. Extension of the moratorium of the exclusivity period, and wholesale with warehousing. I want to be very specific on this because I've heard some derivative conversations that are starting to happen here. Well, maybe it would be possible that they could do wholesale, but they can go and pick it up from the cultivator, bring it back to the facility, package it, then go out on routes, and then return back the stuff that's not used to the cultivator by the end of the day. That's a logistical nightmare and will only be a financial burden on a model that already is not that great. So wholesale, specifically with a warehousing and secure storage of that product, of which you can sell at any time period that you feel fit because you bought it and you own it.
Thank you. Anybody else on the panel want to make any sort of comments about the moratorium? We had somebody just add in a question about why not 5 years? Nikki or Chris or Morris, what do you think about why not a little bit more?
I'm happy to address that a little bit. Well, one of the things that we in the working group for this initial petition have talked about is the more specific we make our request, the more sharp. I mean, we can ask for the moon, but then that sort of closes the commissioner's ears. So we're trying to be very specific as to what are the most important. And so that's where we've come to the conclusion that the purchase at wholesale, not having to have this zero warehouse time, which is not given to any other license type. Even the third-party transport, there's no restriction over how long they can have it in storage. And then the third thing is that exclusivity period. So we're really focusing on that, trying to make the ask very reasonable, that is something that they can get behind, etc.
Anybody else want to comment on the moratorium period? Nikki or Chris or Casey? No? All right, we can move along. Somebody asked a question about, or they mentioned that their interest is in social consumption. And certainly in COVID-19, it's hard to even imagine. But how do you see delivery and social consumption, playing together or down the line? Or is there a correlation? Anyone?
Okay, I'll jump in. Well, then it's not necessarily a correlation between the two, although they're exclusive to SC and EE participants. But I don't necessarily see the correlation between the two. Sadly to say, I don't believe we're going to see social consumption in the immediate future because, correct me if I'm wrong, there is some legislative work that has to be done. Casey's nodding her head, so she might have even more detail on that I don't have. But I believe there's some more sausage that has to be made here before you get to the final product.
Right on. Casey, do you want to add anything about that, about social?
He got it right. There's a legislative fix needed, so, you know, it's not coming around the corner anytime soon.
Yeah. Sorry, Jerome. He's asking ballpark for 5 to 7 years.
And one of the things I do want to point out that relates both to social consumption and an exclusivity period on delivery is that at least the commission was very thoughtful to say the exclusivity period doesn't start until the first operator gets actually in business and their commenced operations. So that's probably buying everybody another few months. So at least that two or whatever the period is didn't start several months ago or even a year ago when this stuff was first talked about.
Thanks, Morris. That's an important distinction. I've wondered this too. When will the first one? Like, do you guys have any insight on when the first one will come?
Happy to jump in here. So there's certainly no definite date, but what I think everybody should know on this call is the application process is not only open now, it's a two-part process. Several of us here, including myself, have already gotten their pre-certification for delivery. There's another portion of the application past that, so you can start to apply right now. You can literally, well, of course you have to first apply for SC or EE status. If you already have that, you can start your delivery application right now. So it's impossible to know exactly when the first delivery will come to pass, but you can be ready to be right there when it does open. And Casey, you certainly have more insight. Anything to add on that one?
Yeah, no, I think you've got that right. You know, the pre-certification process is happening. Licensees are getting past that point. It's now the provisional license application, which, you know, has a lot more to do with location-specific host community agreement, obtaining property. So as you start to see different, you know, public information out there about host community agreements being issued and, you know, licensees talking publicly about where they are, you can get a good sense of, you know, when that provisional license will be issued. The provisional license application, I'm sure once it's marked complete, there's still no background check, which really we haven't seen too much of a holdup in licensing because of that. There's still the background check, and then you get recommended, you know, to be on the agenda. You have to be on a meeting. So there's still some timing involved with getting on the public meeting agenda. But, you know, as soon as we see that first licensee on there, you know, you can bet that they'll be getting their vehicle ready and their facility kind of built out and their business location secure, and we can go from there. And hopefully it's with wholesale and you could be building out a vault or a safe and installing cameras there when that happens.
Thanks, Casey. And then just paying attention to time here. We're talking about, you know, making these recommendations. Chief asked, what are we expected to do if the CCC refuses to change delivery to have wholesale? And what are we to do if that exclusivity period is not extended? I mean, what's the outlook for businesses and for the economic empowerment applicants? And certainly anybody can chime in on that. That's a heavy one.
Okay, no. Okay. The best way to say this is that I want to appeal to the interest also to the individual commissioners. These are individuals, these are people who have worked very hard and diligently to try to address this. And you gotta understand, this has been a moving bus since the state voted yes on this. So they're expected to create regulations while the bus is moving. It's very difficult to do that. At the same time, I'm not giving them a free pass here. If they want to see a very successful social equity program, they really, really need to do this. They have to give wholesale, and they have to have an extension of the exclusivity period. It's not just for Massachusetts. I mean, we're the first in the country. So I would imagine every state is going to be looking at Massachusetts as a beacon here and possibility of modeling their own social equity programs based upon what we do. So I'm directly appealing to the commissioners right now. If you want to look like a rock star in this state and to the rest of the country, I am asking you that this has to get done in order for this to be viable. There's really no other alternative. And these are very highly intelligent individuals. We've had conversations with them. They see the light. I understand that Chief is saying, what if it doesn't happen? This will happen. I'm sorry, it has to, or else there is no social equity program. We might as well just get rid of it then.
And I just think that they have a charge as well. And if they can see that this is not working towards their charge, then, and they don't do this, then what does that say that you're for? So this is the opportunity for the commission to also show that they are for us. They are for equity. This program was supposed to be about equity, even if it doesn't look like it right now. So make it look like it. And I think that they will. I think that if we appeal to them and we have good facts, and I think we do, I think that they will. So that's where our hope is right now. Oh, and I wanted to also say one other thing, Beth, real quick, is that one thing I want to also put out there is I want to make sure that if we get wholesale, we do not all of a sudden become a retailer. The reason I'm saying that is because as a delivery company, we do not cause traffic. We do not have people on site, and therefore we're just like having a cultivator in your town or anything like that, because if you then make us a retailer, we're going to come up against retail limits in every town, and we're going to have to fight every town again. And the town, that whole fighting the towns thing is politics and is not equitable. So as long as delivery stays one of the things that can go into all of the towns, it needs to stay that as well, because otherwise it will just be putting another obstacle in front of us again. So we need the brick walls to come down.
It's actually the biggest obstacle. If you look at most of the towns in this state that are currently open for marijuana, they all basically have hit their cap on ACAs. In the town that we live in, I know that they're going to have 2. We approached them a month before the moratorium was lifted. They told us that 3 entities have already gave presentations a quarter before us. Like, how is that possible?
The town we live in.
Yeah.
And they said that they were told by their lawyers to take the first one.
Yeah.
That's how to pick.
So what I'm saying is that this cannot be attached to any type of retail limits, or else they can even pass wholesale and do all this. It will be for nothing, because there will be no openings for you to even get an ACA in any of these towns. So it cannot be, and please, I want to be very specific, it cannot be attached to retail cap limits in any way, shape, or form. Try to be thorough here. Trying to think outside the box, and I'm trying to think forward here, and anything else that might be coming in our direction.
All right. Okay, so it's 1 o'clock. We've been doing this for an hour now. I do want to be respectful of everybody's time today. Of course, thank you to all of our panelists here. I do want to just go around the room, I'm still not used to being virtual, right? But just let's just go around and remind people how they can contact you, whether it's on your Facebook, or if you have a website. Let folks know just really quickly. Let's start with Aaron and Janelle. We have you. Go ahead. How can people learn more about you or get in touch?
Actually, no, I'll be honest. We've been kind of focused on our whole thing, and then we just saw the inequity here. We're like, okay, let's
look us up on Facebook.
Yeah, you can hit us on Facebook, friend me, friend her, accept or not, and we'll take it from there. But if anybody has any specific questions in general of how this is going or the progress, please reach out. We're
advisors on MCAD, so you could also reach out through that with Chris, and he can get in touch with us. We're here. You can find us, Janelle Goins, Aaron Goins. We're here to help. We've talked to many people. We're willing to talk, to help, we just want, honestly, more color to be in this industry of all types. And when I mean all types, I'm not even talking about all colors, which I am talking about, but I'm talking about all types. If you have money, if you have politics, if you don't have money, if you have a record, all of it, just put color into the industry.
Thank you, thank you. Since you mentioned, let's go right to Chris. Chris, tell us about the website, anything else we need to know, and definitely remind us about the petition, Chris.
Yes, so you can contact me at chris@yourgreenpackage.com, or you can contact me through info@masscad.org. As Janelle mentioned, Janelle, Aaron, and Morris serve as an advisor to MCAD. Nikki is actually our events coordinator, and Devin Alexander is actually our vice president, and David Hinton serves as kind of our social media chair. So a lot of people are really involved to really kind of lobby and help other delivery companies. And they're all super great. So feel free to reach out to us. The petition, I will drop that link again in the chat. But yeah, I mean, really what we're gonna be transitioning to now is kind of pushing for more public comments to the commission. We're gonna be meeting with the commissioners. So if you wanna get involved, feel free to reach out, or if you wanna talk about delivery and how to kind of start your business, that could be a great resource to you as well.
Definitely. Thank you, Chris. How about Casey?
So you can reach me via our website at VicenteCedarburg.com, or my email is just casey@VicenteCedarburg.com, and I can talk to you about some more about our services and help you out any way I can. And remember, make those comments to the commission, whether it's live or on Zoom or in writing.
Do something.
Yeah.
Thanks, Casey. Nikki John.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming out today, guys, and thanks for having me. Beth, this has been great. If you want to reach me, we don't have our website up yet, but the Heritage Club is the name of the company, and I'll put the email in the chat, 617heritage@gmail.com. So if you have questions about applying, finding funding, I know it's like scary at first if you haven't had those kind of conversations before, just reach out. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Nikki. And Morris, last but not least.
Sure. Thank you so much for having us, Beth. This has been amazing. I think every panelist plus yourself are just the most amazing cannabis rock stars. Thank you for everybody attending. So of course, we've talked about how you can get involved. The one quick addition to how people can get involved. So I realize there's two main audience for the petition of what we're trying to get the CCC to change about delivery. One is people who want to get into the industry, so the SE and EE folks, but also if everybody reaches out to their friends, to the 6.9 million people, residents of our great Commonwealth, they will benefit from these changes as well, because without the changes, there's going to be no viable delivery, or it's going to be under strict control that doesn't help everyone. But with the changes, not only is the opportunity there to get into this field right now, but we'll have a thriving, multicultural, multicolored delivery business, and competition, we all know, is good. Diversity is good. Diversity will lead to better results for consumers. So I've posted the group, the Facebook group, to stay in touch, as well as, of course, I hope everybody signs up for MCAD.
All right, awesome. And then, of course, I'm just going to ask everybody to stay connected with Elevate. We are on all your favorite social channels, and we've got a couple spots on Facebook. And of course, we have a mailing list. If you're not already on that, everybody who registered today is going to get an email from us, and you're going to be on our email list. We'll send out the recording, and I may send the transcript of the questions too, because there were a lot of good links and contact information in there. So thank you everybody for coming. I know we're a couple minutes over time, but I think this is some really good stuff. Thank you so much to Morris for moderating today, and for everybody. Thank you for what you're doing. This is hard. This is a lot of work, but you guys are, you're the pioneers that are making this happen, and the voices that are really shaping the industry. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your hard work, not just for your business, but for everybody else, to create some equity in the industry here.
Thank you for putting this out there too, Beth.
Appreciate
What's
it.
that, Joe?
Thank you for putting this out there, for setting this up.
Yes,
It's our responsibility, you know, that we've got the platform. I was saying to somebody else, we've got the platform, you've got the goods. Let's make it happen. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of our attendees for taking the time out today. Really appreciate you and appreciate your support of Elevate Northeast. We look forward to hopefully seeing you at our marketing event next. And don't forget to send those CCC comments in. Thanks, everybody. Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Let's see what's chat. Oh, we should stay on. That's right. Right.
We're unlived.
You're on live. Hold on. There we go. Bye.